Well, it has been an iconic building for nearly a century in downtown Indianapolis. Just off Indiana Avenue, the Walker Theater is a monument to one of the city's and arguably the country's most successful female entrepreneurs of the 20th century. Inside Indiana business reporter Mary Rachel Redman joins us now with more on efforts to further memorialize this entrepreneurial icon.
Thanks, Gary. Over 100 years ago, Madam C.J. Walker chose Indianapolis to build her hair care empire. I had the opportunity to sit down with Madam Walker's great-great-granddaughter, Alelia Bundles, to talk about Madam's business savvy, why Indianapolis, and what her take would likely be on women in business today.
Madam Walker was really about providing economic opportunity, economic independence for women.
But first she found economic independence for herself. Walker famously said, "I got my start by giving myself a start." And that she did, going from an uneducated laundress living in Louisiana to becoming the first self-made female millionaire in America by creating a hair care line for Black women that ultimately brought her business to Indianapolis. So why did Madam Walker decide to invest in the Circle City over a century ago?
She was really looking for a city that had a thriving Black business community, and that was a place where she could ship her goods because she had primarily a mail order business. And when she visited Indianapolis, she met people like George Knox, who was the publisher of the Indianapolis Freeman, a Black newspaper. That was a nationally distributed newspaper. There was a chapter of the National Negro Business League here. But she also saw that it was a place where trains were coming through every day, hundreds of trains coming through. The highway system was just being built. It was a place that manufactured cars. So Madam Walker could see that this was a place that was a good place to do business, and that is why she settled here.
And it would prove to be a wise decision. At the time of Walker's death in 1919, her company was bringing in what today would equate to more than $3 million, while also providing life-changing employment for nearly 40,000 workers.
She saw herself in the women who were her sales agents, and she saw they needed education and they needed economic independence. She helped to create generational wealth for African American families because they could educate their children and buy homes and invest in real estate.
Walker's inspiring story is now the subject of the upcoming Netflix series Self-Made, starring Octavia Spencer.
It's really wonderful that this Netflix series inspired by my book. So a Netflix series, like any Hollywood production, veers a bit from the actual story, but it does introduce a lot of people to a historical figure who they need to know about and who I think will inspire them. And then I'm hoping they will come visit Indianapolis, come to the Madam Walker Legacy Center, go to the Indiana Historical Society.
So what would Madam C.J. Walker think of women in business today?
She would be happy to see that there's so many women CEOs, more women millionaires than we can count. But I think she'd be frustrated that such a small percentage of venture capital goes to women. So she would say we have really come a long way. There's some really great milestones to look at, but we really still have a long way to go so that women are getting the same amount of investment and getting the same amount of support for their businesses.
And to Alelia's point, currently just 2% of all venture capital dollars in the U.S. goes to women-owned businesses. And on another note, Gary, that Madam C.J. Walker Netflix biopic is set to premiere on March 20th.
That is a great story, and great that the rest of the country will see a little bit more of that as well. Thanks, Mary Rachel.
Absolutely.